Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World. I'm Sasha Farbach. Now, Poland is reaching for the stars with its latest space mission, joining an elite group of nations expanding humanity's presence in orbit. As private and international crews prepare for launch aboard the SpaceX Dragon to the International Space Station, Polish astronaut Sławosz Uznański joins this historic flight, marking a new chapter in Poland's space legacy that began decades ago. Now, today, we explore what this mission means for Poland's future in space and science and society as well. So with TVP World's journalist Sonja Agata Bišćan in the studio, good to have you.
Good to be here.
So let's take off. Sorry, I'm going to just go with the puns here. But let's start with the mission. Now, it's been delayed, not for the second time, not third or fourth time. Give us a little take on why that is. Does that endanger the mission? Is it going ahead? Give us your take.
Well, the current delay is due to repair works. Upon inspection of fire booster, there has been an liquid oxygen leak that was discovered, and that requires repair work. So at present, we're waiting for a new launch date. Things are changing very rapidly, so perhaps even during this interview we'll find out something more. But officially, the information just before heading to the studio was that upon the finishing, once the repair works are finished, then we will find out the new launch date. Before that, it was due to weather conditions. The mission is being launched from Florida, from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, and weather there can be unpredictable. And of course, safety and security are paramount. Space is already an extreme environment, and everything that can ensure safety of the mission should take priority.
Sure, of course. So we're optimistic that will go ahead. So it goes ahead. Tell us a bit more about the mission itself. I mean, also the crew. It's not just about the very famous Polish astronaut on board, but tell us generally what's the objective here besides reaching ISS.
So Sławosz Uznański Wiśniewski, the Polish astronaut, is part of the Axiom 4 mission. It consists of 4 astronauts on board. Peggy Whitson is the commander. She's an experienced former NASA astronaut. Currently, she's working with Axiom Space. She's one of the most experienced, or probably the most experienced woman when it comes to just stay in space. So the crew is in good hands with her. Aside from that, there are also astronauts from Hungary and from India. On board of the International Space Station, their stay is planned for 14 days, and during that period of time, Sławosz Uznański is supposed to conduct 13 scientific experiments. That is really the focus. These experiments have been selected by the Polish Ministry of Economic Development and Technology in collaboration with the Polish Space Agency out of the many applications that they received. And they are pursued, again, in collaboration with Polish companies and Polish research institutions. They're focusing on several areas: biotechnology, biochemistry, medicine, technology in general, artificial intelligence, and they're intended to advance our understanding of human behavior in space. When I interviewed one of the experts, Maciek Myśliwiec, founder of Space Agency, on this topic, why do we even need experiments in space? Can we not conduct some of them on Earth? He said that in order to understand how human brain behaves in microgravity, we need microgravity. So this near weightless environment, which is simply not available on Earth, other than, say, for example, in vomit comet planes, specific types of planes intended for a training of astronauts. So for that, we need space. And this could advance our future space missions, but it could also improve life on Earth. So for example, some of the experiments are focused on the well-being of astronauts, on both physical condition as well as mental condition. When it comes to mental condition, there are obviously significant impacts of stress on board of International Space Station, in space in general. So the experiments are intended to focus on research of how human body responds to stress. again, this could improve the well-being of astronauts in space, especially during more difficult missions. But then again, it could also help humans simply on Earth how to better deal with stress. Another really interesting experiment focuses on the use of a computer mainly through brain or without using muscles. So this is a really interesting experiment that could again advance the behavior of astronauts in space, but also help individuals who may have mobility challenges.
So you listed on a plethora of different experiments, I think covering everything bioscience. You said AI, it's really fascinating. Thanks for breaking that down for us. So there is that application, because many people challenge and say, well, why, as you said, why can't we do this on the ground? Special conditions needed. But let's also go about the conditions needed for this mission. I think it's significant. This is the second time only it's been a Polish astronaut involved. Tell us a bit about the history of this particular mission in Poland in space, a little bit more.
So there are different ways to approach this. One could say that this mission began perhaps symbolically the day that Sławosz Uznański Wiśniewski was born. He was born on April 12, 1984, and April 12 marks the International Day of Human Spaceflight. That is the day when, in 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human to go into space. So one could say,
in a way, it sounds
exactly.
Like, right?
One could say it was written in the stars. But in more practical terms, Sławosz Uznański Wiśniewski, he became, out of 22,500 applications in 2022, he became one of the 17 astronauts of the European Space Agency. He, at the time, became a reserve astronaut, and in 2023, he became a project astronaut. This coincided with Poland's increased investment in the European Space Agency, increased contributions to it. At the time, Poland decided to invest 360 million euro for the period of 2023 to 2025, of which 65 million euro were dedicated to this very mission, Polish space mission, which is titled Ignis, in Latin meaning fire, and it is intended to symbolize this rekindled Polish spark towards exploration of space.
There's also a really interesting name for it, the symbolism, as you said. So let's look at that mission as well. I mean, we're going to the ISS with this. I think that's obviously significant. You said funding also for space programming for Poland, or rather from Poland, is still rather small compared to other budgets of other nations. But how do you see this in the near future, if we're looking at future missions, Poland's involvement? What's the scale there? Are we looking at something to Mars or beyond? What are Poland's capabilities now? What could they be in the future?
Well, for Poland, it is really important to be part of this ecosystem with the European Space Agency. We're stronger together. I mean, space in general is a collaborative environment. And even this mission is proof that we have astronauts from different nationalities on board, but there are also many different entities that are involved in the project. We're talking about Axiom Space. Astronauts will be launched to the International Space Station on board of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket and the Dragon capsule, which you mentioned. So, and then there's, of course, the involvement of European Space Agency, Polish Space Agency. So many different entities, and Poland itself is definitely stepping up. It's again proven through this increased contribution to the European Space Agency. But when we talk about missions to Mars, I mean, it's certainly an ambitious endeavor, especially when we talk about human presence on Mars. Here I would focus maybe on the American perspective, because they seem to be the most ambitious when it comes to actually wanting to put humans on Mars. We have to understand that the International Space Station is 400 kilometers away from Earth. When we talk about Mars, we're talking about a distance of 226 million kilometers. So much, much further away. This journey also would last much longer. A journey to the International Space Station, on average, would last approximately 1 day. As opposed to distance to Mars, we're talking about 6 to 9 months of space travel. Of course, this is also paired with many dangers that are associated with space travel in general, and especially space travel that is as distant as this. Some of the problems that come up are radiation, space debris, millions of small pieces of essentially space trash, so pieces of dead satellites that are floating around in space that perhaps in normal conditions would not be of danger, but at high speeds they can cause significant damage. They are probably lesser problems, but even just surviving a mission of 6 to 9 months, as I mentioned, it is difficult for the mental and physical health of astronauts who have to travel for as long, then be there, and then come back. However, having said that, Poland, I would not say that this is the sole and one main purpose of this mission, but it could be a potential positive side effect to develop our understanding as to how humans behave in space. So this is this number one step that is being developed through the 13 experiments, but it can also advance our understanding of human presence on Mars in more difficult conditions, because we have to start somewhere. One of the experiments is also focused on producing food and biofuel, which is very, very important for longer missions, for a potential mission on Mars where humans would have to sustain their life, and of course delivering anything from Earth, especially at such big distances, could cause complications.
Now, you've also told us some of the tangible things. There's often the challenge here, where is the tangible effect going to be? A lot of technology, there's probably more to analyze it than we have time for. But just really briefly, I also want to ask you, maybe that mission to Mars with Poland on board might be in the distant future. But nevertheless, give us a quick, short, brief update on the space, let's say, where it fits. Poland, European Space Agency, the United States. There's a lot of commercial elements involved. Axiom, a private company. SpaceX, very much a private company. Give us your take on the future of space. Can it be done only commercially with government? Where is that headed?
That's a very good question. I think that it will still be a collaboration of different entities. Probably I shouldn't be quoted on that, but I believe that NASA is the main contributor to SpaceX when it comes to funding. So the two, or SpaceX would not be what it is unless it was also supported by the government. But when we talk about the ecosystem and differences between Europe, the United States, some of the latest data suggests that Europe on average invests 0.07% of its GDP in space. In comparison, the United States invests 0.25% of GDP. So
still a bit of a gap, but nevertheless, a moment and a mission like this, hopefully in the next few hours or days, is significant for Poland and for space.
For sure.
So thank you, Sonja Agata Bišćan, for giving us this out-of-this-world analysis. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching. That concludes this World Talks, but stay tuned. As ever, more news and commentary coming up right here on TVP World. Goodbye.